Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakodash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the Akim who are tuning to these videos. Alright, so as you can see on my screen, I have this female. She was posting this on social media, and she's going into like an expose on this person called Gloria Steinem. Now I don't know who this person is, or I didn't have any knowledge of what this the sister is speaking about, but I figured it was gonna be edifying, because she's speaking about how the Black Panther movement, it started with what you call black feminism, to pretty much put down the so-called black man, and to pretty much cut him out of the nuclear family. And then you can see, because this lady, her name is Gloria Steinem. You can just tell what that name has. So anyways, I'm just gonna go and play what this sister has to say.
Do you know Gloria Steinem? Here, let me give you a hint. So I was reading an online article to which I came across something that I didn't know about Gloria. It talks about Gloria's new book, My Life on the Road, recounting her life, journeys, and travels, but look at the bottom paragraph. What is often missed or mischaracterized, however, is the work she did as a CIA agent. Steinem was a spook. Confused, I decided to dig a little deeper. Black feminism, the CIA, and Gloria Steinem. What follows is a fact sheet about Gloria Steinem's operations against the various social and political movements in America, particularly her role in creating a hateful and virulent strain of black feminism that attacks black men while partnering with the white establishment. Steinem first came across the radar of black men when she put a book called Black Macho and the Myth of the Superwoman by Michelle Wallace on the cover of Miss Magazine, to which she controlled. Let's read on. The book was written by a black feminist and activist, quote-unquote, named Michelle Wallace, who came out of nowhere. She was in her early 20s, yet she was being touted as the leader of black feminism. In the book, Wallace called abolitionists like Harriet...
I just want to pause it there, because she's pretty much showing that there's like a bait and switch going on. Because these devils pretty much, they know that, that they got a so-called white person. They're not going to fully listen to, what they got to say. So they got to make it look like it's like a bait and switch, like it's really, a so-called black woman, sister, speaking her mind. So all other so-called black women, when they'll get on board, so, but it says here in the history, because all this stuff is coming out, knowledge is increasing, and pretty much, every wicked ways and, like profane things that, Babylon is about, the light is being shown on it, and, the skirt is being lifted. So everybody, even, the so-called black women, they're starting to wise up, to who this person really is. And, this person is the Bible that this person is the devil that the Bible speaks of, just dealing in deceit, and ultimately, trying to do away with the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, which are the Hebrew Israelites, by many ways. And in this video, how this woman is speaking about, by the way of taking the father out of the family. So I'm gonna play the rest of it.
Tubman and Sojourner Truth ugly and stupid for supporting black men. She called black revolutionaries chauvinist macho pigs and advised black women to go it alone. Go it alone? Do it alone? I don't know. But peep what Gloria said. Gloria Steinem said that Wallace's book would define the future of black relationships, and she pushed hard to make sure the book received massive publicity. Define the future of black relationships? What's the bottom line? The bottom line is the so-called black feminist movement was created and manipulated by the CIA from the very beginning. The only difference between black revolutionaries and black feminists on this issue is that black revolutionaries know they were infiltrated and manipulated, but black feminists are still unwilling to admit that they were infiltrated and manipulated, largely because they are highly invested in the hateful brand of black feminism. It is now a central part of the culture of black women, and this fact has led to the destruction of the black revolution and the complete distortion of black relationships, and the CIA had a direct hand in creating this situation. So black woman, Gloria Steinem, your American journalist, feminist, social political activist, and CIA agent, she was used to cause disunity in the black family through the use of feminism. Remember that book we read earlier, the one on the Black Myth by Michelle? She said that would be the future for black relationships. Nothing positive in that book was written about the black men. They were putting them down. So the next time you think about supporting her, ask yourself.
So, that's enough of that. But you can see, this devil's getting exposed, all through every facet of life, and pretty soon, you're gonna have of the hopeful elect. There's gonna be within that 1/3, that number, because when the 144,000 are sealed, some of them are gonna have women with them. They're gonna have more than one woman as well. They're gonna have children, and none of them are gonna be corrupted, with the ways of Babylon. And yes, some of them are gonna still believe in the ideologies, but as the scripture says that an unbelieving wife, that doesn't disqualify them from being delivered with their husband if he's of that number. But ultimately, you can see that the Esau Edom, because he was in the CIA doing all these things, funding all these things to pretty much further put down the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, to the point of no return. So they're forever, perpetually, dry bones. But ultimately the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai is what's bringing these dry bones together and putting back the sinews. So you can't take this down, because this is a spiritual warfare thing. But nonetheless, Esau Edom, being the carnal man, he's gonna continue to do these things. And don't think that he just stopped. Cause like how that woman was saying, they had this big propaganda to pretty much make the so-called black man look like a person that the so-called black woman doesn't need in their life. When the scriptures it's pretty much lay it plain. A woman is a servant. That's the role that what a woman is. It's not an ugly thing. It's actually a beautiful thing. Because the Lord has designed women to play a beautiful role in life, in creation. But then Esau Edom, his ways are of death and destruction and of sodomy. And so what he's gonna do, he's gonna do these tactics. Like we have 613 laws, I believe. Esau Edom is gonna do opposite of that. And as the Lord has said, marry and reproduce, he's gonna do the opposite of that. To the best of his ability. So this is I want to start with Psalms 141 verse 9. It says, "Keep me from the snares which they have laid for me, and the gins of the workers of iniquity." And the workers of iniquity is Esau Edom, because they're doing a diligent search, to try to keep us down as a nation, to continue to kill us, and put whole hell on the whole nation of Israel. But ultimately he's not going to be able to inflict harm on the hopeful elect to the point of making them quit in this ministry, or losing their chance of salvation. Because we're not afraid of him. Whatever he does, he could whisper in our women's ear. He could lace our food with pork and unclean things. He can make it super adversarial, to be a Hebrew Israelite in this society. But ultimately, we know that this walk is going to be, strenuous, but if we have faith in Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, there's nothing that he can do. You got to remember how Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, from the book of Daniel, they pretty much didn't bow down to those idols, and they were cast into the flame. But because of their belief, they weren't touched by that flame. So that's how we, the men of Great Millstone, the hopeful elect, the men of this nation of Israel, that's how we have to be. We have to conduct ourselves. We got to ultimately know that there's a devil out there who's putting snares in front of us, who's shooting fiery darts at the perfect, so that he could attempt to make us quit. Because the ones that he's able to hit, they're not slaughtered for salvation from the foundation. So he's gonna be able to get some of us. But ultimately, if you're here listening to this video, you want to have it in your mind that you're not going to be of that number of the 2/3. All right, so this is another precept to that. It's Proverbs 4 verse 16. It says, "For they sleep not, except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away unless they cause some to fall." So this devil, the Bible speaks of, Esau Edom, they can't sleep unless they do mischief. They can't sleep unless there's a single so-called black mom raising some kids. Or just like in a bad picture, having her on food stamps, buying Kool-Aid for her kids, whatever it is, he can't sleep unless that's happening in this world. And when that's happening, when we're getting gunned down by the cops, when there's unlawful foods in our foods supply, that's when he has like a job well done so that he can go to sleep. And I'm gonna read the last part of it. It says, and their sleep is taken away unless they cause some to fall. So they literally get insomnia because they haven't inflicted harm unto the so-called Black, Latino, and Native Americans. And like this is a spiritual warfare. As long as they're doing that to the so-called Blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, then they see it's a job well done. But ultimately, the hopeful, like, they're gonna be founded on like on a rock, not on like clay sand or whatever, and we won't be moved by whatever he does to us. Because he could do anything, even unto death. But the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai is going to prevail. He's going to gather his elect. All right, so and then speaking about, like, one of the things that this devil's doing is he's separating the family, of pretty much everybody in the world, but he's really targeting the so-called Blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. Because he knows if he takes the head of the house, then that house is pretty much like a chicken running without its head. He can swoop in there and teach those kids a whole bunch of wickedness. So this is Matthew 19 verse 6. It says, "Wherefore they are no more twain, but one flesh. What therefore the Most High hath joined together, let not man put asunder." In that video, you can see that the CAA were pretty much whispering into those so-called black women's ears, so they could do this, so they could be separated from their loved ones. Because pretty much, you have to understand, that this devil doesn't want us to reproduce, procreate, or live a easy life, because they know the scriptures. They know that a woman is a pillar of rest, and they know that the woman, once she's planted, that's that man's husband. And that the Lord pretty much, set it to be that way, destiny, so to speak. But then he's the one, the wicked of the Bible, that is going to try and whisper into all these women's ears and make them think that they don't need no man, when that's completely adversarial to what their existence is about. They're literally created to help the man that they're destined with. But don't think anything short of this devil. Don't think he's not gonna play dirty. When it comes to life down here. So this is 1 Corinthians 7 verse 10 says, "And unto the married I command, yet not I, but the Lord, let not the wife depart from her husband." And so if there's how the world calls it, problems in paradise, like there's another joke, a happy wife, happy life, but there's a little bit of truth to that, because if there's trouble in the household, then that means that this devil is going to have a good night's sleep. He succeeded in causing discourse. He succeeded in sowing seeds of division, confusion, and doubt into both the man and the woman. But ultimately, he's really trying to do this so that he could inflict harm onto the husband. Because, like, as the scriptures say, an unbelieving wife, it doesn't matter if she believes or not. Because through the works of the husband is how she's going to be saved. But see, this guy, this devil, he's going to try everything he can, to throw a dart at you, whether it be from your women, your job, the food you eat, the clothes you wear, or, the things that you do on your daily life. Don't let, how you would say, don't think he's not going to do anything, that's not in his arsenal. All right, so I want to read this in 1 Peter 3:1, but I want to read it in the NIV because it's a little bit more plain English. So this is wives, in the same way submit yourselves to your own husbands, so that if any of them do not believe the word, they may be won over without words by the behavior of their wives. So it's pretty much plain and simple. The women, they have a role to do, to take care of their husband. They're actually the ones out here really dealing with the struggles of life, when it comes to Satan and interfering with everything. And a woman's job is supposed to be a pillar of rest. So, but then this devil, he's gonna try to do everything he can, to cause trouble in paradise. so to speak. All right, and so another thing too, because he knows that there's going to be women, protected in these last days. That he wants pretty much the whole nation, man and woman of the nation of Israel, to be killed. To look bad in the eyes of the Lord. Like how it says in Psalms 83. Because he wants to cut them off from being a nation, and how he's doing that, he says, by making them sin. So he may not be feeding your wife pork or whatever, but he is going to be whispering in her ears to make her think that, like, one, you can't have more than one wife, two, you can't have concubines, or three, to keep her in subjection, because he knows if he can get in her ear, easily, because he designed this world to be beneficial for a clamorous woman, that's pretty much, that's a dead person. So this is Hebrews 13 verse 4. It says, marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled, but whoremongers and adulterers the Most High Yahweh will judge. Because you gotta understand, the spiritual demon Satan, he's in perfect order doing what he's doing down here. Because ultimately, the angels are setting a mark, of exemption, the Thawah, like how it says in Ezekiel 9:4. So the ones who sigh and cry, they get that mark of exemption. And so, like, and the ones who don't, the ones who are pretty much settled in their lease or ease or whatever in this world, mainly women, because if you read down Ezekiel 9, it says both maid and women and children, so that's pretty much women 3 times, because I believe in children, there's going to be some little girls in there that aren't going to be, against this world. They're going to be with this world, so Satan's pretty much numbering them for the slaughter, so that when the angels come down here, they know exactly what to do. And that's why we come out here and we preach and prophesy about these things. And it's not the job of a woman to preach. It's the job of a woman to be at home, and be a pillar of rest for her man. All right, so another thing too about these wicked women, because if they're gonna be out here being whoremongers, they're gonna be out here listening to the serpent and the ways that he has of this world, which go contrary to the scriptures, like being single or not needing no man or cheating on their man. Well, there's going to be a judgment for that. And then for the men, you got to understand, that out here they ain't a lot to choose from. So you really got to look at the inward appearance for a woman, their inward beauty, a woman who's level-headed, so that, or that they could learn at least, and you can persuade them so that they don't do wickedness, so they don't feed your kids pork, so that they don't do abortions, so they don't do drugs or, whatever it is that these women do nowadays. Because ultimately, a wicked woman is given to a wicked man. So you gotta, first and foremost as a man, repent, and do this work, and then the rest will fall into place. But if not, you're a wicked man, and you just ended up with a wicked woman. Well, that's just the scriptures playing its role, showing the true. So the last precept I wanted to read is Ecclesiasticus, also known as Sirach, 25 verse 16 says, I had rather dwell with a lion and a dragon than to keep house with a wicked woman. So as you can see, times are coming, with Jacob's trouble, and the famine of the word, all these things are going to happen, the distress amongst nations, the ones who are listening to these videos, the men, I'd advise you, to be circumspect to these women you're going to be letting in your house, because not all of them are gonna listen to you and obey you. Some of them still got Satan in them. So well, I just want to show it real quick. I forget the lady's name. Just to end off on that note. Gloria Steinem. So Satan out here, sowing seeds of discourse. So just, take heed, and be circumspect. So I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachak Kodash, and Shalom Akim.